House, presenting what I think Mark Zuckerberg's personality type is in the MBTI system. Spoiler alert, I think he's an ENFJ. I know that's not going to be a very popular typing for him, but hopefully, given the evidence and arguments I present in this video, an ENFJ typing will be a bit more palatable. And maybe even, dare I say, reasonable for Mark Zuckerberg. So, brief overview on Mark Zuckerberg. Just going over his education, his career trajectory. Harvard University dropout, dropped out to start Facebook, but while he was there, he was majoring in computer science and psychology. His career thus far has consisted primarily of being the co-founder of Facebook, which is a social media and social networking website and company, which is now subsumed by Meta Platforms, which he is the CEO of. Meta Platforms is a technology conglomerate, the primary goal of which is to facilitate the development and adoption, I guess, of this idea of a metaverse, which is this kind of nexus for all of Meta Platforms, and technologies and information technologies. So that's Mark Zuckerberg. And in this presentation, I'm essentially making an argument for him being an ENFJ. So before we get into that, we have to define what we mean by ENFJ. And I don't necessarily hold to this dominant auxiliary combination. I think ENFJs can also have auxiliary extroverted sensation. That would maybe make them ESFJs, but at least from the letters wise, I think you can be an ENFJ and have auxiliary introvert intuition or extrovert sensation. For purposes of this video, let's stick to auxiliary introvert intuition because it seems to work for Mark Zuckerberg. What is extroverted feeling? A group known as Personality Hacker refers to this function as harmony. Extroverted feeling is all about relationships, community, and it's a social function. It's not as much concerned with individual human experience as much as with collective or group human experience. That's the dominant function of the ENFJ. What's the auxiliary function? It's introverted intuition. Personality Hacker calls this function perspectives. And I'm leaning pretty heavily on their definitions here because I think they're the ones that apply the most appropriately to Zuckerberg, as well as they're pretty well defined. So introverted intuition is about simulated reality. It's about imagination, virtual reality, spoiler alert. And it's about, there's a definition going around out there that it's about transforming with a meta perspective. I think I've heard that from a number of individuals. I think that's out of Dario Nardi's book as well, but we'll see how that maps on to Zuckerberg in the next slide. So essentially we look at Zuckerberg. What is Facebook? I think that's an example of dominant extroverted feeling. I don't think there's much of an argument for being dominant extroverted thinking. It is technology, but it's a social technology. It's a community. It's your social network of Facebook. On Facebook is made up of friends, and I guess also people you follow, but friends are kind of the relationships that you have in this community that is online or virtual, but thus it's still a community, it's still a social technology that's implemented online or using the internet. Once again, it's social media, social network, and it's a social creation. It's not like Elon Musk, who I think is using more extroverted thinking. It's not a car, it's not a rocket. Its purpose isn't really to accomplish some sort of objective goal. It's just to make people connect. And Zuckerberg talks about this a lot in some of his interviews, where he's saying that he'll even say like the meaning, maybe the NI meaning of life is, or the introvert intuition meaning of life is extrovert feeling relationships. He talks about that and says that explicitly. And the fact that it's a social media company, this is like what he blew up with. It seems pretty obvious to me that Facebook is extrovert feeling, or is an expression of extrovert feeling in Mark Zuckerberg. Going on to meta platforms, I think this is auxiliary introvert intuition that he's getting into now as he's developed as an entrepreneur and a businessman. So, metaverse as simulation. The metaverse, for those who don't know, is like it's a virtual reality platform that they're working on where you're going to have virtual real estate, virtual avatars, virtual meetings, but it's engineered in a way so that it's going to be pretty much eventually, hopefully, next to seamless representation, or at least very analogous to reality. It's augmented in virtual reality, and both of these things, I think, are aspects of how at least Personality Hacker describes introvert intuition as dealing with simulated reality, internal counterfactual imagery. So as opposed to actual reality, you have the simulated reality, and that's kind of what the metaverse is. Once again, transforming with a meta perspective that's pretty part and parcel to introvert intuition definitions from all over. And we have this company, or this renaming of this company, going to meta now, that I think Zuckerberg is stepping a bit more into his introvert intuition. And the important thing here is the timeline, right? So we say, yeah, there's Facebook, that's extroverted feeling. There's meta platforms that it's introvert intuition, but which comes first? Is he an INFJ? Is he an ENFJ? My argument here is that he's an ENFJ because Facebook was the original name, and the original kind of project was a social network morphed into a virtual reality company. The extroverted feeling integrated and morphed into more introverted intuition over time. So, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. I anticipate that this is not going to be a very common typing for Zuckerberg. Actually, I know that because I looked it up. Personality database has him typed as like either an INTP or an INTJ, neither of which I agree with. I'd say maybe INTJ is closer, but I'd still make the argument, as I did in this video, for ENFJ. Yeah, like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you think this is interesting, useful content about typology. Thanks again for watching, and have a nice day.